meeting to provide public input again, please insert your name and address in the chat, and you will be called on during the relevant time for public input. You will be given 5 minutes to speak during public input. For citizens that wish to speak during the privilege of the floor, please insert the following into the chat during that time, and the council president will call on you, and you will be given 3 minutes to speak during privilege of the floor. Please be sure to unmute yourself prior to giving your remarks.
Thank you. I would like to say that disrespectful, rude, or disruptive speech or actions will not be tolerated. Such speech or actions, as well as verbal attacks on any one person, may result in the individual without notice forfeiting the remainder of his or her allotted time. At this time, we would like to welcome Rabbi Karen from Temple Bethel for our invocation. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me to be with you this evening. Mindful of the continuously evolving situation in Ukraine and the terror and horror that so many people in that region are experiencing, let us join together in hope and prayer that this untenable situation will soon come to an end and that peace and tranquility will prevail in the sovereign nation of Ukraine. Much has happened since the last time I addressed this body on August 23rd of last year. With the dramatic and frightening rise of, and then the abrupt fall of cases of the Omicron variant, we were faced with even more difficulties and uncertainties with regards to COVID-19, and we've also continued to grieve all kinds of losses. To those who have lost loved ones to the pandemic, please accept my condolences. We have struggled with how to react to the new challenges that COVID seems to keep on sending our way. How should we best and most safely open and keep our institutions open? How should we support those who work in, frequent, or somehow interact with our institutions? Is the worst of the COVID pandemic over, or are there yet more surprises that await us? There are no easy answers to any of these questions. And at the same time, we have found new ways to be together. We have learned or relearned what's really important in life, and we've reached out to our neighbours in new and different ways. As we gather together this evening, whether in person or online, to conduct the business of the great city of South Bend, let us rededicate ourselves to work together in unity and harmony to improve this particular region of Indiana that we all call home. Each of us bringing our unique gifts and talents to this worthy endeavour. Faced with so many challenges, yet also with so many opportunities, let us pledge to join hands even when we disagree with one another, to ensure that the city of South Bend is able to continue to realise the abundant potential with which it is blessed. In that spirit, I offer this short prayer by Rabbi Karen Kedar entitled, Restore What is Broken. In this time of uncertainty and fear, do not let me rest. Send me forth that I may restore what is broken, heal what is wounded, and engage in acts of love with great and unrelenting determination. I shall do something kind and necessary for someone else. May this be my answer to pain. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. We will now move on to the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Clerk Jones, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Councilmember Davis.
Henry's here.
Councilmember Lee.
Present.
Councilmember Warner.
Present.
Councilmember Wax.
Present.
Councilmember White.
Present.
Councilmember Thomas Morgan.
Present.
Councilmember Hammond.
Present.
Vice President Niskoski.
Present.
President McBride.
Present.
9 present.
Thank you. At this time, we will have the report from Subcommittee on Minutes for February 14th.
Report of subcommittees on minutes. To the Common Council of the City of South Bend, the subcommittee has inspected the minutes of the February 14, 2022 meeting and found them to be correct. Therefore, we recommend the same be approved.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the report from the Subcommittee on Minutes for the February 14, 2022 meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you. There are no special business, and there's also no special reports from the city offices. At this time, I would turn this portion of the meeting over to, and would like to entertain a motion to resolve to the Committee of the Whole.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to resolve into the Committee of the Whole. Oh, yes, I need a roll call. Thank you so much.
You don't need the roll call, President McBride.
Oh,
All those in
we'll do
favor?
acclamation.
We're-
All in
you're
favor?
all here.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion's carried. Thank you. I just like hitting the gavel. No.
The Committee of the Whole is now in session. This is the portion of the council's meeting where bills are given a second reading and public hearing. I wish to share with you that the bills that will be given a second reading and public hearing have been given a first reading and set for committee meeting and public hearing prior to this evening's meeting. In addition, you will hear from the chairperson of the committee where the bill was discussed and the results of their discussion. If the proposed ordinance is a zoning ordinance, a report from a staff member will be given. In all other situations, the formal presentation on the proposed ordinance will immediately follow the committee report. The formal presentation shall be on time. We will now hear Substitute Bill 133-21. Clerk Jones, will you give Substitute Bill 133-21?
Motion to hear the substitute bill. Second.
Okay.
All right, it's been a motion and second, and now, Clerk Jones, please take the roll.
Okay. Councilmember Warner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wax?
Aye.
Councilmember White?
Aye.
Councilmember Tomas Morgan?
Aye.
Councilmember Hammond?
Aye.
Vice President Niskoski?
Aye.
Councilmember Davis? Councilmember Lee?
Aye.
President McBride?
Aye.
9 ayes.
All right, now, Clerk Jones, will you read Substitute Bill 133-21?
Yes. Bill 133-21, public hearing on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, amending the zoning ordinance for property located at 2430 Prairie Avenue, Councilmanic District Number 6 in the City of South Bend, Indiana.
Is there a committee report?
Yes, Chair. This afternoon, Bill 133-21 came before Zoning and Annexation and comes to the Committee of the Whole with a favorable recommendation.
Is the petitioner present? I ask that you state your name and address and share us key points regarding this bill that's before us.
Thank you, Council. Joe Molnar, Zoning Specialist, offices on the 14th floor of the County City Building. The first rezoning before you today is for property located at 2430 Prairie Avenue. This is a desire to go from S1 Suburban Neighborhood 1 to C Commercial and S2 Suburban Neighborhood 2. The property is located on the southwest side of the city of South Bend along Prairie Avenue and Locust Road. Here is the zoning map as it currently stands today. It is a fairly large parcel, all zoned S1, so essentially you could only build a single-family home on this lot today. The proposal by the petitioner is to take the northern 250 feet of the land and zone it C commercial for potential development. This area in white here is already commercial, but that is not owned by the petitioner. That is a separate property. And then the remaining portion of the property to go to S2 Suburban Neighborhood 2. Here is how the site along Prairie looks today. It's a heavily wooded site, as you can see. And this is a proposed site plan by the developer, obviously the commercial tenant up towards Prairie as the rezoning would dictate. And here is a proposed elevation of the site. It was the staff's opinion that Prairie Avenue has a history of small-scale commercial throughout the corridor. The neighborhood, in its most recent planning process in the fall of 2021, has indicated a desire for commercial uses that are compatible with the surrounding neighborhood without negatively impacting surrounding areas. Limiting commercial development to the area immediately adjacent to Prairie with medium-density residential in the southern portion would help protect the residential character of the area while still providing development opportunities along a major corridor. For that reason, it was the staff's opinion that it went to the Plan Commission with a favorable recommendation, and the Plan Commission sends it to you as well with a favorable recommendation, subject to the following 3 criteria. The first, limiting the commercial space to the northern 250 feet as demonstrated here. 2, that no commercial access be granted to Locust Road, so all access to the commercial portions of the property would have to come off Prairie due to Locust not being set up for commercial traffic. And 3, a subdivision to separate the 2 differently zoned portions so that the petitioner would do a subdivision to split this into 2 lots, separating the commercial from the residential. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have, and I see that John Tiffany, the petitioner, is online as well.
Petitioner, will you please state your name and address?
Yes, John Tiffany, 706 North Eddy, South Bend, Indiana.
Is there any key points that you would like to give us regarding this bill?
No, I think Joe did a good job. This is going to be phase 1 of phase 2. Phase 2 is going to be putting multifamilies in the back. But this is going to be just a shopping center that we're going to try to bring tenants in. They're going to, help the community, and we're totally on board with the community's help with who we put in there and everything. So we're willing to work with them, and look forward to the opportunity of being in this location. Thank you.
Council members, do you have any questions for the petitioners? All right. At this time, we're going to go to the public hearing portion. Clerk Jones, is there anyone from the public wishing to speak in favor of Bill 133, substitute Bill 133-21?
There is no one from the public that has expressed an interest to speak in favor of Bill 133-21.
Is there anyone present wishing to speak in opposition?
There is no one present expressing interest to speak in opposition of Bill 133-21.
At this point, the public hearing on substitute Bill 133-21 is now closed. Council members, are there any of you that would like to make any statements? If not, I will now entertain a motion regarding substitute Bill 133-21.
I'd like to make a motion to send substitute Bill 133-21 to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
Second.
Clerk Jones, please call the roll.
Councilmember Wax?
Aye.
Councilmember White?
Aye.
Councilmember Thomas Morgan?
Aye.
Councilmember Hammond?
Aye.
Vice President Niskoski?
Aye.
Councilmember Davis? Councilmember Lee?
Aye.
Councilmember Warner?
Aye.
President McBride?
Aye.
9 ayes.
All right. Substitute Bill 133-21 will be sent to the full council with a favorable recommendation. We will now read Bill
Thank you.
04-22. Clerk Jones, will you please give Bill 04-22 a second reading?
Yes. Bill number 0422, public hearing on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, amending the zoning ordinance for property located at 2122 and 2128 South Bend Avenue, Councilmanic District Number 4 in the City of South Bend, Indiana.
Is there a committee report?
Yes, Chair. Bill 04-22 came before zoning and annexation this afternoon and comes to the Committee of the Whole with a favorable recommendation.
Is the petitioner present? I ask that you state your name and address and share with us key points regarding this bill that's before us.
Thank you, Councilmember Lee. Joe Molnar, zoning specialist, offices on the 14th floor of the County City Building. The next rezoning before you, also on State Road 23, but on the northeast side of town, is located at 2122 and 2128 South Bend Avenue. This is immediately to the east of the new Drive and Shine facility, which a little over a year ago was rezoned to C commercial to allow that construction. The petitioner has acquired the property here and is looking to put in a quick lube center. On site currently is a 2-unit retail site. Here is how it looks today with the 2 retail units and then the parking lot to the west. Zoom in on that parking lot. Here is the proposed site plan from the petitioner. They're proposing to demolish one of the existing retail units but leave one of the existing, and the construction of the lube center. It was the opinion of staff that rezoning the site to C commercial will allow for the redevelopment of an area along a major corridor into the city. The site's location immediately across and adjacent to C commercial makes sense for the rezoning to take place, and especially near the heavily trafficked intersection of Ironwood. It was the opinion of staff that based on the information available prior to the public hearing, the staff recommends the rezoning petition be sent to the council with a favorable recommendation, subject to a subdivision to match the established zoning lines, just like the previous bill, so that this will become commercial, and then the remaining portion of the lots will remain NC Neighborhood Center, and that is the recommendation that the Plan Commission sends to you as well. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. I see that Mike Danch is online to represent the petitioner.
Petitioner, would you?
Thank you.
Okay. Give your name and address.
Mike Danch from Danch Harner and Associates, 1643 Commerce Drive here in South Bend, representing the petitioner. As Joe had mentioned, what we're asking to do is take approximately 0.77 acres of property on the south side of South Bend Avenue, west of Ironwood, and rezone it to the C commercial. Drive and Shine, owned by Haji Tarani, would like to put a lube center on the western portion of this site. As Joe had mentioned, right now existing on the property is a 2-tenant commercial building. One of them is Insomnia Cookie Shop, and the other one to the west is the one that we will raise and remove to allow for the lube center to go in. Access is going to be from State Road 23. We also have a common drive that's used between our property and the property to the east to allow access out to Ironwood Drive as well. As Joe had mentioned, we're going to meet all the standards for zoning and landscaping. All drainage will be on site. This will be serviced by water and sewer from the city of South Bend. We are working with the state of Indiana. They have asked us to do an adjustment on the driveway opening out onto State Road 23, so we will be applying and getting approved a driveway permit for that, for the adjustment of the driveway. What we would ask council to do is approve us for the C commercial zoning, and if you have any questions for us, we'd be glad to answer them.
Council members, do you have any questions for the petitioner? All right. No. All right, at this time, we'll go to the public portion. Is there anyone from the public wishing to speak in favor of Bill 04-22?
There is no one from the public expressing interest to speak in favor of Bill 04-22.
Is there anyone present wishing to speak in opposition?
There is no one present wishing to speak in opposition of this bill.
At this point, the public hearing on Bill 04-22 is now closed. Council members, are there any statements? Anything anybody would like to say? All right, I'm just glad that they're not tearing down Insomnia Cookies. That would be a problem.
Motion to send to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
I'll second.
All right, Clerk Jones, please call the roll on Bill 04-22.
Councilmember White,
Aye.
Councilmember Tomas Morgan,
Aye.
Councilmember Hammond,
Aye.
Vice President Niskowski,
Aye.
Councilmember Davis, Councilmember Lee,
Aye.
Councilmember Warner,
Aye.
Councilmember Wax,
Aye.
President McBride,
Aye.
9 ayes.
All right.
Thank you.
Bill 04-22 will be sent to the full council with a favorable recommendation. Bill 05-22. Clerk Jones, will you please give Bill 05-22 a second reading?
0522, public hearing on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, amending the zoning ordinance for property located at 2240 Prairie Avenue, Councilmanic District Number 6 in the City of South Bend, Indiana.
Is there a committee report?
Yes, Chair. Again, Bill 05-22 came before Zoning and Annexation this afternoon and comes to the Committee of the Whole with a favorable recommendation.
Is the petitioner present? And we ask that you state your name and address and share the key points regarding this bill that's before us.
Thank you, Council. Joe Molnar, Zoning Specialist, offices on the 14th floor of the County City Building. We are back on the southwest side for this final rezoning, also along Prairie Avenue, just a little bit to the east of the previous rezoning you saw already today, at a property located at 2240 Prairie Avenue. This is a split zone parcel, which, as you saw the subject twos on the previous two rezonings, we really don't like to see from an administrative standpoint. The property, which is one parcel, is currently zoned C commercial along Prairie Avenue, but the back half is zoned residential. The petitioner is looking to do a potential commercial development on the site and would like the whole site to be zoned C commercial for better site layout. The current site, as you can see here, is vacant. The tree line is the back, basically the back of the property, so about half of this is already Zone C commercial, and then the other half is the S1. There is another view of the property, which is in between the Dollar General and the gas station at Locust and Prairie. And this is just, again, to demonstrate that they're just trying to clean up the zoning and make sure that the entire parcel is zoned C commercial. It was the opinion of staff that the northern portion of the parcel is already zoned C commercial, and Prairie Avenue has a history of small-scale commercial throughout the corridor. Especially this site is sandwiched in between two commercial properties, and there's neighborhood center to the north. Prairie Avenue has a history of small-scale commercial throughout the corridor, and in a recent planning process of the fall of 2021, the neighborhood has indicated a desire for commercial uses that are compatible with the surrounding neighborhood. With that being said, it was the staff's recommendation to the Plan Commission that this be sent favorably to you, and that is what they did, send it with a favorable recommendation. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have, and I see that the petitioner is online as well.
Petitioner, would you state your name and address for the record?
You're muted, Deborah.
Hi, good evening. My name is Deborah Hughes from Surveying and Mapping, 3220 Southview Drive in Elkhart. I'm the civil engineer working with the owner. As Joe said, this property has two different zoning designations, C commercial along Prairie Avenue and suburban S1 along the south. So it is one parcel, and the owner would like to have C commercial on the entire parcel so that they can move forward with a proposed commercial development. I'd be happy to address any questions.
Council members, do you have any questions for the petitioners? All right, thank you. At this time, we'll go to the public hearing portion. Is there anyone from the public wishing to speak in favor of Bill 05-22?
There is no one from the public wishing to speak in favor of Bill 0522.
Is there anyone present wishing to speak in opposition?
There is no one present wishing to speak in opposition of Bill 0522 as well.
At this point, the public hearing on Bill 0-22 is now closed. Council members, do you have any statements regarding Bill 05-22?
I'd just like to make a statement, Chair.
Yes.
Thank you. I'd just like to thank Mr. Molnar and Angela Smith for their work on both the bills in the 6th District, 13321 and 522, in reference to the zoning there. The neighborhood plan that they have proposed, this is consistent with that plan. The neighborhood association there with Rum Village and the residents that come out for that plan. So this is a really great opportunity for the development in the 6th District. And I look forward to seeing what they'll be putting there that'll benefit the residents in a family-friendly way.
All right. Is there anybody else who'd like to say anything? Council members?
I'd like to make a motion to send Bill 5-22 to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
Second.
Clerk Jones, will you please call the roll on Bill 05-22?
Councilmember Davis? Councilmember Lee?
Aye.
Councilmember Warner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wax?
Aye.
Councilmember White?
Aye.
Councilmember Tomas Morgan?
Aye.
Councilmember Hammond?
Aye.
Vice President Niskoski?
Aye.
President McBride?
Aye.
9 ayes.
All right. Bill 05-22 will be sent to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you.
I will now entertain a motion to rise from the committee of the whole and report back to the full council.
So move. Second.
It has been moved and second. Clerk Jones, please take the roll. Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries.
Thank you. The full council is now back in session. I would like to state, I apologize, I should announce it at the beginning of the meeting. If you are on Teams for Resolution 22-11, it has been tabled this evening. Again, Resolution 2211 has been tabled. Thank you. Now we will go to bills on third reading. The full council is back in session. This portion of our meeting is where bills are given a third reading, and action is taken regarding bills that we have heard during the committee of the whole. Clerk Jones, will you give Bill 133-21 a third reading?
13321, third reading on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, amending the zoning ordinance for property located at 2430 Prairie Avenue, Councilmanic District Number 6 in the city of South Bend, Indiana.
I'd like
Thank
to
you.
make a motion to hear the substitute version of Bill 133-21 as amended in committee of the whole.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? The motion has been carried. Committee of the Whole, Councilman Lee, were there a recommendation from the Committee of the Whole regarding substitute Bill 133-21?
Substitute Bill 133-21 comes from the committee of the whole with a favorable recommendation.
Would like to entertain a motion for Bill 133-21.
Move for passage.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded for the passage of Bill 133, substitute Bill 133-21. Clerk Jones, the roll, please.
Yes. Councilmember Warner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wax?
Aye.
Councilmember White?
Aye.
Councilmember Tomas Morgan?
Aye.
Councilmember Hammond?
Aye.
Vice President Niskoski?
Aye.
Councilmember Davis? Councilmember Lee?
Aye.
President McBride?
Aye.
9 ayes.
Could I ask for a point of clarification for the parliamentarian?
Yes.
Thank you, President McBride. In the committees, we heard that some of those were subject to the recommendations that came from written commitments? From the, I'm sorry, I can't.
The written commitments.
Yeah, so these are already automatically incorporate those, correct?
Correct.
In those rezonings for whatever the exceptions were to that.
Correct.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
South Bend Plan Commission, that's what I couldn't even.
Thank you. Substitute Bill 131-21 has been adopted. Clerk Jones, would you give Bill 04-22 a third reading?
0422, third reading on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, amending the zoning ordinance for property located at 2122 and 2128 South Bend Avenue, Councilmanic District Number 4, in the City of South Bend, Indiana.
Councilman Lee, is there a recommendation for the Committee of the Whole regarding Bill 04-22?
Bill 04-22 comes from the Committee of the Whole with a favorable recommendation.
I will now entertain a motion regarding Bill 04-22.
Move for passage.
Second?
It has been moved and seconded. Clerk Jones, will you call the roll?
Yes. Councilmember Wax?
Aye.
Councilmember White?
Aye.
Councilmember Tomas Morgan?
Aye.
Councilmember Hammond?
Aye.
Vice President Niskoski?
Aye.
Councilmember Davis? Councilmember Lee?
Aye.
Councilmember Warner?
Aye.
President McBride?
Aye.
9 ayes.
Bill 04-22 has been adopted. Clerk Jones, would you give Bill 05-22 a third reading?
0522, third reading on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, amending the zoning ordinance for property located at 2240 Prairie Avenue, Councilmanic District Number 6, in the City of South Bend, Indiana.
Thank you. Councilman Lee, is there a recommendation from the Committee of the Whole regarding Bill 05-22?
President McBride, from the Committee of the Whole, Bill number 05-22 comes with a favorable recommendation.
I will now entertain a motion for passage of Bill 05-22.
I move for passage of Bill 522.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Clerk Jones, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Councilmember White?
Aye.
Councilmember Tomas Morgan?
Aye.
Councilmember Hammond?
Aye.
Vice President Niskoski?
Aye.
Councilmember Davis?
Aye.
Councilmember Lee?
Aye.
Councilmember Warner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wax?
Aye.
President McBride?
Aye.
9 ayes.
Bill 05-22 has been adopted. Resolutions. This is the portion of the council meeting where the Common Council will hear bills filed as proposed resolutions. The title of each proposed resolution is read by the city clerk. A report from the committee chairperson of the standing committee to which the bill is referred to for an advisory review and recommendation is given. During the public portion on each proposed resolution, members of the public are invited to address the council. We ask that you please give your name, address, and comments on the bill. If you have questions, they will be addressed by the presenter during their rebuttal. Each member of the public is limited to 5 minutes, with those speaking in favor going first, followed by those in opposition, then a 5-minute rebuttal for the presenter of the bill. Clerk Jones, would you give Resolution 22-12 a reading?
2212, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, calling for full replacement of funds available to the city guaranteed by the state for any changes in funding resulting from any changes in Indiana's business personal property tax laws.
Thank you so much. Is there a committee report? Come from person.
Yes, I'm sorry. This was heard in Personnel and Finance, and it was sent to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Do we have the presenter?
Yes, may I approach the podium?
Yes. You almost said approach the bench, didn't you? Would you state your name and address, please?
Yes, thank you. My name is Rachel Tomas Morgan. I live at 114 Chapin Street and with offices on the 4th floor of the County City Building. Thank you, council members. As I shared in committee, a couple of us on council have been watching legislation proposing changes to the business personal property tax and concerned about the negative revenue impact that reduction or elimination of the business personal property tax would have to municipalities. In speaking with Representative Bauer on Tuesday, I learned of developments and felt that it was in the best interest of the council as the city's fiscal body to consider this resolution. I'm not going to read the resolution, but I just want to read a couple of the paragraphs, the key paragraphs in the bill. Whereas the Common Council of the City of South Bend opposes all legislation that contemplates eliminating any portion of the business personal property tax without permanent full replacement guaranteed by the state. And whereas business personal property tax distributions to local units of government exceeds $1 billion. And whereas the city of South Bend in St. Joseph County could lose up to an estimated $16 million in tax revenues. Now therefore be it resolved by the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana. The Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana opposes all legislation that contemplates eliminating any portion of the business personal property tax without full and permanent replacement guaranteed by the state of Indiana. So as we discussed in committee, the resolution itself is not a position on the business personal property tax, but instead calls for permanent guaranteed state replacement for the revenue funds to municipalities should the tax be eliminated or reduced. In speaking with Representative Maureen Bauer this week, and as well with Senators David Nitskotsky and Senator Ryan Mishler, the business personal property tax is likely to reemerge in some form in conference committee in the next couple weeks. This resolution before you reads almost identical to resolutions passed by Goshen, Elkhart, Mishawaka just a week ago on last Monday. And as well, reads similarly to 40 other resolutions passed by 40 other municipalities. Just an example, Mishawaka's loss would be $3 million. Goshen's loss states almost $3 million as well. Evansville's resolution, which is similar to our population here in South Bend, states a loss of up to $24 million. And per Mr. Dan Parker, our city's controller, $16 million is the revenue we receive from business personal property tax here in South Bend. As I shared in committee, I have spoken with Mr. Jeff Ray, the president of the South Bend Regional Chamber of Commerce. I ask your support of Resolution 2212 and to add South Bend to the list of communities calling for replacement revenue should the business personal property tax reemerge in conference committee in the next 2 weeks and be reduced or eliminated. I'd like to give some time as well to Representative Maureen Bauer and any comments that she would like to add to this presentation. Is Representative Bauer on the call?
Hi, yes, I am.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Hi, it's Maureen Bauer, 1307 Sunnymead Avenue, South Bend, Indiana. I thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today, Madam Chair and Council Member Thomas Morgan, members of the Council. I want to thank you for considering this resolution. As was discussed, the state of Indiana is projected to have a $5 billion tax surplus by the end of the 2022 fiscal year. Again, that's billion with a B. As a result, taxpayers will see an automatic tax refund of $125 per filer when they file their 2021 taxes. Because the state has taxed more than it can invest, a tax cut has been proposed in the House. House Bill 1002, currently being considered before the Indiana General Assembly, aims to reduce the cost of doing business in Indiana by eliminating the business personal property tax. As passed out of the House, House Bill 1002 proposes a tax credit to offset the business tax on equipment hitting the 30% depreciation floor. However, without fully and permanently replacing the loss of revenue for local units of government, including counties, cities, libraries, and schools, Any attempt to eliminate the 30% floor will negatively impact the budget for local units of government and their ability to provide services, critical infrastructure, and public safety. The Senate Tax and Fiscal Policy Committee eliminated any changes to the business personal property tax, which is good news for cities, towns, and local units of government. Yet as we approach the final 2 weeks of negotiations on House Bill 1002, this language is eligible to come back in conference committee. So as any tax cut should be considered, we must also ensure that there is a strong reserve for local units of government, which is why the action by the City Council today is important for South Bend and the 40 other cities who've signed on to similar resolutions, including Mishawaka, Elkhart, and Goshen. The elimination of the business personal property tax without a sustainable replacement will create local consequences by erasing vital funding. So I thank you again for the opportunity to speak with you today, for sharing how cutting millions of dollars of funding to local government will hinder your ability to provide Hoosiers with a quality of life in South Bend that we expect, deserve, and rely on. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Bauer. Both of us here are happy to answer any questions that the council may have.
Council members, do you have any questions? Councilman Davis?
What is the likelihood that this is going to pass?
I'm sorry, Mr. Davis.
What's the likelihood that that action downstate is going to pass?
Representative Bauer, would you like to speak to that?
Yes, sure. Now, the bill was heard or will be heard today on third reading in the Senate, but that language on business personal property tax was stripped out. There is a disagreement between House and the Senate. Some feel there should be tax cuts, while others feel we should wait till budget year, which this year is not. It's a short session, and we generally do cleanup legislation only, and the budget is generally not reopened in a short session. So there's a bit of disagreement between the House and Senate Republicans on of whom control, those chambers of what actions to take, given the fact that we have such a high surplus. So as it stands today, that language has been removed, but in the last 2 weeks, any bill that has died can come back. So I can't give you an estimate or a prediction of what might happen, but no bill is dead until sine die, which is technically March 14th.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I'd just like to say thank you to Representative Bauer and to our council colleague for bringing this resolution to us and helping us to be more informed of what's going on in the state. So thank you for your work.
Thank you. At this time, I would open it up to the public for any comments. To see if there's anyone wishing to speak in favor of Resolution 2212.
There is no one from the public that's wishing to speak in favor of Resolution 2212.
Is there anyone in the general public wishing to speak in opposition?
There is no one from the general public that is wishing to speak in opposition as well.
Thank you. At this time, the public portion is now closed. I will turn back to my council colleagues. Are there any comments? Seeing none, I would ask that for a motion for Resolution 2212.
Move for passage.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded for Resolution 2212 for its passage. Clerk Jones, would you please read the roll?
Councilmember Wax?
Aye.
Councilmember White?
Aye.
Councilmember Tomas Morgan?
Aye.
Councilmember Hammond?
Aye.
Vice President Niskoski?
Aye.
Councilmember Davis?
Aye.
Councilmember Lee?
Aye.
Councilmember Warner?
Aye.
President McBride?
Aye.
9 ayes.
Thank you. Resolution 2212 has been adopted.
Thank you, everyone.
Bills on first reading. Clerk Jones, would you please give Bill 08-22 a first reading?
0822, first reading on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, appropriating additional funds for certain departmental and city services operations for the year 2022 of $183,000 from the Law Enforcement Continuing Education Fund number 220, $7,800,000 from the Local Income Tax Economic Development Fund number 408, $180,000 from the Sewage Works Operating Fund number 641, and $347,697 from the Equipment Vehicle Leasing number 750.
Thank you. I would like to entertain a motion to send Bill 08-22 to Personnel and Finance Committee in public hearing and third reading for March 14th.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Clerk Jones, would you please give 09-22 a first reading?
0922, first reading on an ordinance of the Common Council of City of South Bend, Indiana, amending the zoning ordinance for property located at 2413 Prairie Avenue, Councilmanic District Number 6 in the city of South Bend, Indiana.
Thank you. Motion to send Bill 09-22 to South Bend Plan Commission for public hearing on 3/21, and ZNA and the council for public hearing and third reading on March 28th.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. Is there any, at this time, we have unfinished business. Is there any unfinished business from the council? Seeing none, is there any new business? Councilman Wack.
Just want to confirm, I was a little bit confused about this meeting. Our next meeting will be open to the public?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe that the governor's order is official March 6th? Is that the?
The current executive order expires March 4th, and it doesn't look like he's going to renew it.
Correct. So yes, we will be.
Regardless of what the governor does, will be?
No, I can't say regardless. We're going to anticipate that he does, but his orders does supersede, so we would hope that not because of the trend of the numbers. So I would be reluctant to say that if he happens to whatever act of God, that if something happens and he says no, we would have to follow that order. But as of now, no, we would be open to the public at the next meeting and going forward.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Oh, Mr. Davis. Oh, I'm sorry. Councilwoman Hammond.
Thank you. I had originally scheduled to have the presentation from the Motels for Now program today, but due to some very unfortunate circumstances over the last several very stressful weeks, that had to be postponed. So now that it is official that they are cleared of any wrongdoing, and I must say that the shameful and senseless attempt at character assassination of this fine not-for-profit, as well as the upstanding individuals that run it, is just unspeakable for a service and an asset that is so needed in this community. So I will be working to get them rescheduled to come before us, and I would ask my council colleagues to please treat them with the respect they are due for the exceptional work that they do with the homeless and the unhoused in our community.
I appreciate that. I would just like to add to that, I also hope that, the chair of ZNA, that going forward, if we know that something is going on in a facility that is not zoned, that it's reported back to at least the committee of the whole and to the full council, so we are aware. But we're looking forward to that presentation. Thank you so much. Is there any additional new business?
Yeah, I'm over here.
Mr. Davis?
To clarify what you just said, ZNA board, that goes to enforcement, so that conversation has to go to the mayor's office. It'd be kind of hard for a council person to know exactly what's happening, what's wrong, based upon conjecture.
Well, the council person was on the committee, so that's what I'm saying, because I was on the committee as well, so, but to know that,
But a council person cannot enforce the law. The mayor's office enforces the law.
they also could let us know if it's knowing that it was zoned improperly. But we can have that discussion
There
further
is no zoning
offline.
question for motels for now.
This wasn't about motels for now, because I know it's directed
My
towards
statement
me.
was.
Well, mine was not against motels for now. It was strictly about the property at 701 Niles Avenue, for clarification.
I was just adding that because I think that's important for all of our work. It's just not that one issue. I
Thank
want to
you.
first say congratulations to the girls at Washington High School for their state championship. That was some awesome stuff.
Absolutely.
And I would like to do what we did last year. This is almost becoming a routine now. Every year, we're congratulating them for their winning season, and this year will be state title. Last year was what? It was a runner-up. Yeah, so they kind of like just go to state every year. Somehow, some way, they have an extended season. So I think that's just like an awesome thing for the city. I did call Mayor Mueller and Mr. Perry and asked them could they turn the lights green. Although that makes me sick because I was a LaSalle person and we really had a problem with that. But yeah, turn those lights green on the river and just to say, thank you to them. And I want to also ask Bob if we can go ahead and get like a proclamation or whatever that we
Yes,
can
that was-
participate on for the council. There was like two more things. That one thing I wanted to say, I don't know, I should probably have said this under old business or maybe not. I don't know. There was a bill that I filed that didn't receive a date or a committee for some reason. I'm saying this because what appeared in the national news on New York Post, and there was a UK station that also presented the information. We're under a microscope nationally, obviously, because of Mayor Buttigieg's, rise to fame. That bill does protect the city and this council. Those numbers that they presented and what they did present was ugly, okay? And what that bill does is help cover this council and also the city through oversight. So for whatever reason, it didn't make a committee. I will be bringing that back. But if you haven't read those newspaper articles, there was national news. There was New York Post, and there was a UK station. It was all over Fox News as well about the idea of pay to play here in South Bend under Mayor Buttigieg's administration. I holistically believe the oversight is needed, better oversight. I've been saying it for years. But obviously, we got a really colorful wake-up call when that came out. So it makes sense. I didn't plan that. I didn't even know that article was coming out. It just happened like that. And so I think that it makes sense that we revisit that and actually have a real discussion about that because it makes sense. The last thing I wanted to bring up, and I do have some of the same sentiments that Ms. Hammond brought up earlier. I was extremely surprised by the language that was used. If none of the council members have listened to it or watched it, I invite you to. Someone sent it to me as well. Back in early 2020, I think we did, 2021 maybe, we had a tent city that was erected over there in Monroe Park, 2nd District. Then there was, some movement before then, before Tent City, under the bridge, dealing with the homeless. This council did step up and say, hey, we need to do something when Tent City presented this stuff over there in Monroe Park. And there was discussion, there was some resolutions that were on before council. I'm not sure if they won, if they passed through or not, I don't remember that. But what I do know is that the language that was used and the ability to shame the homeless in that video by council president really set a really horrible tone. It was embarrassing. And so I think that, if we're going to do what we're supposed to do, and that is serve the public. We need to serve all people. Everybody gets a service. And I don't think, name calling or pointing or blaming the finger, blaming someone for doing something that you didn't like, that's fine. But when it's time for us to do our job, being fiduciary agents and also legislators, I think it's incumbent upon us to use all the professionalism that we have in order to make the things real for all citizens here in South Bend. Very shameful, very embarrassing.
I would like to call a point of order. Well,
You
actually,
can't call a point of order, somebody making a statement.
He can make a comment.
I can make a comment. But it's what I viewed on video.
Well, I appreciate that, and if you
Yeah,
don't mind,
yeah,
I
it's
can.
what I viewed on video.
I
It's
can
on
address.
video.
I can address that, and
Yeah.
And I will address it further in detail. But I would briefly address it that when I went out to the facility, like I was invited, and council are invited to several of our developments to go out and look at. I was invited to Tent City. I was invited to Motels for Now, and I was also invited to the 701 address. And when I went to the 701 address, and it has been confirmed in the paper and in the media that people did not have running water, people did not have heat, and also it smelled like a urinal in the facility. And on top of it, while I was visiting, finding out that people were paying rent out of homeless people, taking advantage of the disadvantage to be paying money out of their pocket on top of what the ERA funds is being paid for. I was very upset. It was a private conversation that was secretly recorded and leaked out and shared among some of my colleagues, shared to different people in the community. So by the contents, in the context of what I said, very upsetting to see that homeless people being used by some of our own council that knew that that building was not properly zoned, and for 8 to 9 months did not share that information with council, knowing that that facility was not zoned properly because it came before us.
You just
is
keep lying.
Shameful. So
That's not what I was talking about.
when I go to the facility and the language I used,
Oh my
had
God.
you seen the facility,
Sharon,
you would
that's
have been
not-
upset. And
that's
that's the
not-
last thing that I'll say about that comment.
But that's not what I was talking about. That's nothing, that's not,
We can move on. Does anyone have anything
no, I
else
wasn't
for them
finished.
tonight?
You're not allowed
We're
to
not
cut me
going to
off.
have this
I
debate.
wasn't finished.
We're not going to have this debate. If you
No,
want to
she
talk
cut
to
me
me,
off.
you can talk to me, but this is not the
You're not allowed to cut
platform.
me
Point of
off.
order.
This is not the platform.
That's not even a such thing when you're having an open comment
Everybody.
section.
this-
It's
this-
not,
this-
but I wasn't
but-
finished.
But
She-
okay, but that,
Call to order.
she
At this
asked-
time, this
she-
meeting is
She
adjourned.
asked a question I
Thank
didn't
you.
ask.
Excuse me, President McBride, you still need to do privilege of the floor.
Point of order. At this time, Clerk Jones, do you see if there are anyone that's wishing to speak the privilege of the floor?
There is no one from the public expressing interest to speak for privilege of the floor.
Thank you so much. Everybody have a good night.